grew up in southern Indiana, and I guess as a young age I felt like I had maybe won the lottery of parents. You know, it's unusual because my dad was a person of really, really high character. There wasn't a lot of mention of God or a lot of prayer, but we were pretty regular at church. Dad and Mom really were really high character. I always remember that it was kind of the Patchel way of living in terms of when we borrowed something, we always knew to take it back in better condition. We did things for our neighbors. A lot of high character type of activities were really emphasized. And so when you ask, was I a bad kid, I think my box was I did a lot of those types of things, was good to a lot of people, but I felt like I couldn't keep it on the tracks. I felt like I just didn't have the character that my father did, that my dad did. College kind of introduced me to a new truth, and I was introduced to a lot of beautiful women. Guys were going out drinking, and I did it. I enjoyed it to some level, but really, my drug of choice was really just to spend time with women. I craved the affection, the attention. It became almost overpowering to me. The problem is I really didn't know how to care for a woman. I didn't know what that looked like. I was infatuated with my needs, and I wanted to love in a way that was not harmful or hurtful, but I had a way of ending relationships in a very destructive way. And that really weighed heavily on me. It was like I didn't want to hurt them, and I didn't want my truth to be the truth of who I was, but it was as if I couldn't stop. I met a lady, really cared about her, and we became quite interested in each other from a lot of different levels. We slept together. We ended up living together, and I thought, well, perhaps this is a woman I want to marry. We dated for a couple of years, but I wasn't faithful to her on a couple of occasions that. She actually knew that I was unfaithful to her, and after the first time, I felt unbelievably remorseful. I was sad. I even cried. She cried. I knew how badly it hurt her, and then months later, I did the same thing. And I go back to that statement. It seemed like I just couldn't keep it on the tracks, but somehow I rationalized it off. But I felt that internal strife. With that, almost wishing that I felt worse about it than what I did, because my head knew how bad it really was. One day I saw this another young lady walking across the parking lot to take her trash into the trash dumpster, and I stopped my little car. And I waved her across. She dumped her trash, and I stayed there while she was dumping her trash, and I waved her back across, and that was my little entree into flirtation, into trying to enter some sort of communication or relationship with her, because I thought she was attractive. So we began a little kind of a silent communication, and then one day I was at the swimming pool and saw her, and we started to have a conversation. But the relationship kind of kept progressing, and I found her really extremely interesting. She just seemed to be a different person than I was, and it was almost as if I was spending time with her to kind of help fulfill those things that I couldn't be. This was a few months later, and I actually proposed to her, and so. We got married not long after that. My wife and I had a different view of what a relationship was to look like to be successful. I had a real narcissistic view of a relationship, and that was if I had my needs met, whatever that box looked like, part of it which was real sexual. Then I was going to be a really good husband. I simply just didn't know how to have have an intimate relationship in a mature way. Kim and I were from two different types of family backgrounds. So ours wasn't very volatile. We covered up truths. And my wife had grown up in a relationship where her father was an angry man, yelled at him, screamed at him, and my wife's reaction to that was either she would withdraw or she would cry. So she cried often as a defense to an emotion that she couldn't handle. In the third way, she would lash back in anger. And so the first time that I ever saw or experienced her raising her voice or yelling at me, I withdrew, and I didn't know how to handle that. And so I would just withdraw from communication. I didn't know how to communicate through that. I saw that at that time as a whole lot more destructive than me withdrawing. Saw it more destructive, believe it or not, than me having a relationship outside of my marriage. So I was it was just kind of I was in a distorted place.